Sir, you are not audible.
Okay, so students, I have informed you beforehand that today we will go with the poem, last poem, that is Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. This is by Adrienne Rich. Adrienne Rich is a poetess, even you can say poet also, because for poet and poetess, we don't need to require the gender. Even we can say the poet, we can say the poetess. So she is a US poet, right? She is from Baltimore in US, and she is a renowned writer of the later part of 20th century. I mean from 1950s to the 2000. She was one of the best writers in poetry as well as in novels, and she is famous for feminism and more famous for bringing feminism into the discourse of poetry, right? Because here is a poem here that we are going to read, and this poem is based on racism. So students, you can ask me what is racism. So as the word in its surface meaning defines, racism refers to the race and particularly the discrimination on the ground of race, even on the ground of minority, right? So she has delineated, she has painted in a very clear way the theme of racism in her works, right? Okay. So students, this is her lifespan from 1929 to 2012. Many international awards goes in her honor, like National Book Award. She was the recipient in 1974. Then in 2003, another international prize, that Bollinger Prize is 2003. So these are two of our notable awards, like two internationally reputed awards. Then some of our important works, I can say the most famous works, A Change of World, written in 1951, and the other work in 1955, that is The Diamond Cutters and Other Poems, that was written in 1955. And as I told you, two of the very major themes, the prominent themes that she has incorporated in her writing, these are feminism and racism. So students, before we proceed this, I would like to know from you what is feminism, right? This is not something new for you, right? This is a well-known concept, an ideology,
I think
can say, right? An idea. So can you please give your contribution in terms of the meaning of feminism? So what does feminism mean to you?
women should have same rights as the men have.
Okay. Students, feminism has a very big meaning. It's a broader meaning, right? And even hundreds of PhD theses has been submitted, even awards have been given with the topic of feminism. But here our purpose will be just to define feminism in a very simple and brief way. Uh, of course, keeping in view its relevance with the poem that we are going to read. Okay, Udita Soni has written, it is equal rights of women. Dhwani has written, can you just please type again? Okay, Chanchal Kumari has written, women should have the equal right. Okay, let me see some of your comments. Okay, Barsha has written, equal rights of women as the man have. Then Suresh has written, social equality for women. Okay, so students, feminism doesn't merely mean that it is social equality or political equality. Rather, it goes for equality in terms of gender, like the amount of rights, the dignity, right, the fundamental rights, the privileges, what a man gets, the counterpart should also get, right? So equal rights and students equal right should be given, and if it is not, then the revolution takes place. Writers write on the theme of feminism in their writings so that the depressed classes should get back their right and also get back their dignity. So, feminism is a broader term. It stands for equality, of course, in the field of social equality, social field, political political equality, then economic equality. Let us just expand this. So the social dignity and status should be same irrespective of the gender. Then political ideology in political fields, rights should be given to women also. Like women should also cast their vote, like we can see universal adult franchise, the voting right, power to vote. You should have the right to elect your representative in any form of government, maybe democratic or maybe any form of government. That is, political equality. Then economic equality. For this particular point, I would like to get some inputs from you, and I am sure many of you will contribute. What stands for economic equality, right? Can you please give your view? What constitutes an economic equality? Okay, a long range is found today. That's a matter of extreme happiness. 308, 311, 313, 314. Okay, many of you are present today. So that's a tremendous response
Yes,
in the
sir.
new forum. Okay, Komal Mina has written it is same wages for men and women. Yes, brilliant answer. It is wage rate. When people do some manual work, even nowadays you can see the technological work, the digital work, wage should be given, and wage is given in exchange of labor paid, the works done, right? So wage rate should be same for both the man and woman. Then any other rights that which go, okay, Asta Dwivedi has written, same wage for men and women, okay. Apart from the wage, there are some other fields, other issues where economic equalities should be given. Okay, taxation, okay, good, because taxes are levied, taxes are imposed, and it should not be discriminated on the ground of gender. Equal opportunity, that's a brilliant answer. Economic opportunity, okay. Even more important of all is the dignity at the workplace. Somebody should not feel the trauma, the tragedy, the inconveniences at the workplace. Somebody should afford the dignity, the prestige, and the social status at a workplace, right? As much respect a woman should get as a man gets in a place of work. Maybe in factories, any industries, any institution, any organization where they work, right? So dignity at workplace, no exploitation, no harassment, no anything negative should take place, right? Okay. So these are all rights, and in those days, some groups of society, mainly the female, were getting devoid of those opportunities. They didn't have access to those opportunities. So there was a need of an immense need of feminism to start the stream of feminism so that a changes should take place, right? Student, can you say me? Only one thing is constant and others are not, right? So what is constant in this world? And others just get changed. get reversed? Can you please say me? And if it is not found, then revolution takes place. People raise their voice. Fine. Astha Guthi is reported to have left the meeting. Okay. Students, kindly ensure you are present till the end of the class. Okay. Inequality is constant. Good. So change is the only constant and others are not. Apart from change, nothing is constant. So there was the need of this change. This change and the change was for equality. Even in other words, you can say the equilibrium, or even you can say homogeneous, right? The uniformity. So it is homogeneous, uniformity, right? Okay, students. So this particular poem is having a unique stanza pattern. I mean, I can say the rhyme scheme. Can anyone say the rhyme scheme applied in this particular poem? Yes. What is the rhyme scheme, students? This is a very small poem, a poem having 3 stanzas only. Okay, A, B, A, B. Fine, same answers from Darshana Mali also. Varsa told the same answer. Yes, it is correct answers. A, B, A, B. This is the rhyming scheme, or you can say
A,
the rhyme scheme applied in this particular poem. Okay. Student, just read the first stanza. And Jennifer's tigers. Okay. You only read the first stanza, then I will write a few questions which are very basic in nature, and then we will proceed the poem. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen, bright toppers denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the man beneath the tree, the pace in sleek chivalric certainty. This is the first stanza. Okay. So students, can you please say this stanza is about what? What is the first stanza about? About whom, I can say. Let me give you a clue. About what or about whom? Even you can say about who. Who does the first stanza refer to? Right? Whom does it refer?
about tiger.
Okay. Students, you can just utilize the chat box. Okay, about the tiger. So the first stanza is about the tiger, right? Okay. Now students, can you please say what type of tiger is it? This is the question, basic in nature, that I had told you to ask. What type of tiger is it? Yes. What type of tiger is it? Okay, fearless tiger, fine. Let me honor your effort also. Varsha told it is fearless tiger, okay. Okay, any other one? Jyotsna told it is an imaginary tiger. Okay. It's an imaginary tiger, okay. Any other ones? Hitesh says strong, powerful, and fearless. Chidesh says it is chivalric tiger. Okay. Fine. Okay. Aunt dreams tiger. Okay. Vivek has told. Imaginary tiger to express her freedom. Okay. Here some of the answer is the common feature is there. Okay. So students, let your answer be very specific and very particular and pinpointed. Whether is it a real tiger or not, that's the question. Confident tiger, chivalric, of course, fearless, unafraid, good. So is it the real one who takes
It's
the break?
imaginary.
Yes, it is not real. Okay, fine. It's imaginary. Okay, fine. So its correct answer, it's not a real tiger. Okay, good. Can you please identify the line which gives you an evidence that this is not a real tiger? Can you please identify any word from first stanza or even the line which indicates that this is not a real tiger? Okay, pace across screen, fine. So this particular word, of course, it gives us the clue that this is not a real tiger. It is decorated on a screen, so it is an embroidery work, or work done in the form of an embroidery, and it is attached on the wall. You can say it is attached on the screen, so it is a screen tiger, not a real tiger. Okay, prance across screen, fine. Now students, in the first stanza, can you please say the quality of the tiger? Yes, prance across screen. So prance is a quality. Prancing, it means it jumps with high speed. It indicates fearless also, lots of confidence. Even you can say enormous
Energetic,
confidence. Okay, bright yellow tiger, fine. It prances, chivalric, good. Brave,
sir. Energetic.
fine. Look the word chivalric. In 16th century, the word chivalric refers to a military honor, that lots of respect given to the military system, or even to a soldier, to a patriot, to a defense force or an armed force, that is chivalric. It's an honor, even you can say military honor. Like in India these days, we have certain military honors like Paramveer Chakra and other ones, right? So this tiger is chivalric, this tiger is confident, it is fearless, it runs across a screen because it jumps with a high speed. So the first stanza very clearly indicates that this is a confident tiger. The actual qualities of the tiger are reflected in the first stanza, right? And it do not, okay, they do not fear the man beneath the tree. Students, is it a single tiger or many tigers are there on the screen? Can anybody say this? Whether it's a single tiger, only one tiger is there, or many? Yes, it is many. How can you
More
say
than
that
one.
it is many? Okay, more than one. How can you say this? Okay, answer is many, and many of you have told the correct answers. But now the question is, how can you say that there are many tigers here instead of only one? Because tigers written in the first line, okay. Similarly, when you come to the line number 3rd of the first stanza, you will find they do not fear the man beneath the tree. They do not fear. Look the word plural here. So many tigers are there. They do not fear the man beneath the tree. Okay. So under the tree or beneath the tree, there are men, human beings. Male, you can see the male counterpart. The counterparts are female, those are male. So if the writer is feminist, then of course the reaction will be against their counterparts because of the inequalities, right? Because of the dissimilarities, right? Okay. So we read, they do not fear the man beneath the tree. So it is fearless. As the word suggests, do not fear means it is fearless. Okay. Student, this is clear. When an artist, draws any work, either he can paint something or he can design something. So there is an objective. Always there is an objective behind an art, right? And always an art is symbolical in nature. It's a symbol, right? It's a symbol. So if a feminist writer, even you can say here a feminist poet, writes with a symbol, she applies symbols in the poem, then what does the symbol signify? Right? Because always a symbol has two things. One is the signifier and another one is the signified. Always in every symbol gives us the two ideas. One will signify and the matter or the object which is pointed out, that is called signified. This is scientific. So the object will be signifier, those who plays the vital role, and at which it just puts the attention, makes the target. It is called signified. So the feminist writer has drawn a symbol here. So the tiger is the signifier. So students, here the tiger here is the signifier. And who do you think that the signified? Yes, because when we discuss the concepts like feminist writer on feminism, so the writing is always against the male dominance, right? Or even you can say the patriarchy, where the father or the head of the family, you can say a male figure becomes the head of the family, right? And the women are suppressed, right? So if the tiger is the signifier here, then the signified is the oppressed one. So this is oppressed. And always an artist makes an art with some objective. So the tiger doesn't fear the man beneath the tree, but Aunt Jennifer fears the man. So this is the distinction between the artist and the art. Can you please simplify this? Of course, I have already given you the answer. Can you further simplify this? And this is the distinction between the art and the artist. The tiger is the art here and it doesn't fear, but the artist fears. And this is the distinction between the art and the artist here. Here the tiger is the art and it doesn't fear, right? But who is the artist? And Jennifer is the artist, but she fears. So this is the distinction between the artist and the art. Here art means the object, right? So here the tiger is the art, it doesn't fear. But the artist who has drawn this art, the creator who has done this art, fears the man. So this is the distinction between the artist and the art, right? So this is why I use the term signifier and signified. So this is the use of symbol here. Adrienne Reese has applied, right? Okay. And the tiger behaves as if it has a long hold over its living place, right? Look the word denizens. Can anyone say the meaning of the word denizen? Okay. Can any one of you say the meaning of the word denizen? Like the tiger has a sense of pride over its belongingness, you know, even we can call it sense of belongingness. Like I belong to this particular place, I belong to Rajasthan, or I belong to India, I belong to the Asian continent. So this is the sense of belongingness. I am the alumnus of this particular school. So the sense of pride that you take, or the sense of belongingness, that is, highly reflected in the tiger. But the artist has a doubt over her belongingness. She is not so much confident, or even you can say she is not as confident as the tiger, right? So the hold of the art object over its nativity, you can say, right? Over its nativity or the native place is much stronger. It has a very strong hold, right? The tiger has the strong hold. And it has a deep sense of belongingness. But whereas the ant is having uncertainties over her belongingness, she is not as confident as the tiger, right? Okay. So students, now the question is, can you please say why the sense of belongingness is not so strong on the part of the ant, right? Because her sense of belongingness is somehow diluted. The sense of belongingness is diluted, right? It is not as strong as the tiger has. Can you please say the meaning of the word denizen? D-E-N-I-Z-E-N, denizen. Like you can say the tiger is a denizen of the forest, okay, inhabitants. Can you please elaborate this? Can you expand your ideas? Of course, denizen means you can say a resident, a living place, or even you can say a habitat. But denizens here means where you have been living for generations, for centuries, or even for thousands of years. Like the generation of tigers or the race of tiger has a strong hold over the forest for thousands of years. So the tiger can say that I am a denizen of the forest. Yes. So place where you have been living, the race has been living the existence for thousands of years, right? So this is denizen. So the tiger can confidently say that, I am a denizen of the forest. Even you can say the king of the forest. But here, the ant is just the opposite. Right, now it's clear meaning. Vivek Pachori has written, living at a place for more years, right, found in a particular place. Okay, so students, now just have a glance over the second stanza of the poem. So in the first stanza, we read about the tiger, its inhabitant, its dignity, the chivalric sense of pride, stronghold over its habitat, fearless tigers, like doesn't fear the man beneath the tree. Yes. Then in the second stanza, what is it about? When you read this particular poem, always have the attention on the stanza. What is it about? This should be the first question before you read the particular stanza. Students, if you can remember, the first poem of class 11 that you studied last year of photograph in the book Hornbill, there also you find 3 stanza, and each stanza defines a particular association, human association. Each stanza has its own meaning, own significance. Similarly, here, this particular poem, Aunt Jennifer's Tigers, has 3 different stanza, and each stanza has its own significance. It stands for one distinct ideas, right? Like in the first stanza, we came to know about the tiger. Of course, indirectly we interpreted the relationship between the art and the artist, the signifier and the signified, the use of symbols here. Similarly, what is the second stanza about? What is it about? Here you come to the second stanza. Okay. Can you please say what is it about? Okay, let me see who are in the line. Okay. Hitesh has written feed of his husband and thought of him. Okay. Restriction on Aunt Jennifer due to her sad experiences. Okay. Okay. I think only 3 are the live viewers here. Students, can you please use the chat box and say your answer? Saloni has written, it expresses the inner feelings. Okay. State it very simply. Answer should be very straightforward, very specific and pinpointed, very particular. Like the first stanza stands for the tiger, second stanza stands for dash. Okay. I couldn't see your responses. Can you please retype this? Pragya has written reality of Aunt Jennifer's life. You are so elaborative, no need here. Just put your answer in a very straightforward way, very specific. Okay, let it be very clear, very clear. It is about the aunt. Aunt Jennifer's, okay. So the second stanza is about the aunt, and it is Aunt Jennifer. Okay, Aunt Jennifer, the protagonist here, right? Even you can say the only human character in the poem, but she represents a race. She represents a total female race. Okay. Aunt Jennifer's fingers fluttering through her wool find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. So these are 4 lines, and the rhyme scheme is here. Same it is as we discussed in the first stanza. It is A, B and A, B, like it is wool and pull having the rhyme. Then band and hand, this is another rhyme. So A, B and A, B is the rhyme pattern here. It is clearly understood and clearly reflected. Okay. So second stanza about Aunt Jennifer. Okay. So students, can you please see, the work of knitting, doing the embroidery work. It is considered to be one of the most favorite pastimes of female, the domestic engineers. In these days, we can't say housewife, right? Because somebody said it is it's a taboo actually. We regret, and this is not given or this is not regarded to be a term of, civic sense. Okay. So instead of this, we call it domestic engineer, right? Because the present world is such, you have to give respect and you have to honor to every person around you, even in your office, in your day-to-day life. You have to, uphold or to maintain the sense of dignity, the social honor. So this poem is about, feminism, sense of equality and all those. So when I find a relevance, I just decided to write it. So nowadays, even people don't feel comfortable to use the word housewife. So instead of housewife, we prefer domestic engineers. Like we have civil engineer, mechanical engineer, computer engineer, chemical engineer. Similarly, we have the term domestic engineers, right? Like in these days, we don't call disabled, right? Because the other person would feel the pain, the trauma they would feel. They would have a sense of inequality, or even you can say a sense of discrimination. So can you please say the better term for this? Okay.
Differently able.
Even there are better terms than challenged. Even there is much better term, physically challenged. Okay, this is what you are moderating. You are moderate in your words, but there are much better term when a person would feel a dignity, feel comfort.
Differently abled.
Differently able, correct answers, 100% correct answers. They are not disabled, but they are differently able. But they are differently able. They are not disabled, but they are differently able. They have the ability in a special ways. Because somebody if has lost the hearing power, but they are good with their eyesight. So somehow or other they compensate their loss and they establish their ability in a different way. And the ability gets multiplied. So again, we find the sense of equality, the uniformity, and the homogeneity, you can say. Okay, so students, just come to the point. Knitting is a very simple work. The weight, or even you can say the mass of a needle is very less. It doesn't require much physical strength to use the needle while knitting a work or doing an embroidery. But Aunt Jennifer's condition is such that even utilizing or applying a needle becomes burdensome. Even her fingers just flutters, it trembles, or even it just gets shaken. It trembles, and there is a prime reason behind this. Can you please say, why does she tremble even to run a needle? Okay, sorry, I become unable to find this. Okay, now I am giving my 100% attention. Okay, it is male domination. She is feared. Okay, any other answers? As she is the victim of the male domination. Okay, right. She is burdensome. Even she is psychologically also burdened. And of course, women in a male dominated society becomes physically burdened. That is true. But gradually they become psychologically burdensome, and this is the byproduct, the result. That fluttering is the result of the psychological as well as the physical burden. And when she does the embroidery work, she flutters. So her fingers flutter through her wool when she, pulls the ivory needle, and it becomes very hard to pull. Okay. And the massive weight of uncle's wedding band, right? You know, students, wedding is a symbol or a social institution of human happiness, right? Wedding is a social institution where you will find the complete freedom, the happiness. It is some, the heavenly tie-up, but somehow or other, it becomes troublesome, right? It becomes a catalyst for somebody's pain and, traumatic life. This is what Aunt Jennifer is also a victim. So wedding band is very simple, very light. Wedding band, this is a particular scene, a particular moment when the tie-up, the marital tie-up, even in a religious rite, you must have found it in a marriage ceremony. It's very light, even you can take it as a symbol, not an object. But ironically, it becomes a massive weight, a massive burden. It is burdensome, not a source of happiness, right? And marriage has brought this burdensome in her life. So students, this much for today. Let us recapitulate within 1 minute what we studied today. In the introductory phase today, we discussed feminism and racism. Then Adrienne Rich's famous works, the awards she is honored with, the rhyme scheme of the poem, what is the signifier and the signified, the use of symbols in the poem, right? Then, of course, so far we have, we have found out the relationship between the stanza, the main focus of the stanza, like the first stanza is completely about the tiger. Of course, we get the inference or the indirect meaning that the tiger is available on the screen, presented on the screen. So it's not a real tiger, but it's an artificial tiger. It's a work of embroidery. Then the second stanza about the aunt, the creator of the art, the artist, you can say. Okay. So in the next class, we will read the second stanza, even the other stanza, the final stanza, and we will discuss a few question answers, and possibly, probability is very high. Even I can set a quiz of maybe of 20 or 30 marks, and it will be readily available. Simultaneously, you will go on writing the answers. You can say it a live quiz also. So get ready. Of course, I will intimate you beforehand the chapters that you have to go through for the live quiz. Okay. So students, this much for today. And
Thank you,
mark
sir.
your attendance till the end of the session. Okay.